Hey everyone, this video is a bit of an update slash rambling vlog about the state of the challenge of the month, specifically the fact that I've decided to not continue to do the monthly art challenges. I'm sorry if this disappoints you, but before we go into all the reasons, and I'm going to go into in depth as to why I've made this decision, and there are a number of contributing factors. I want to start off by saying that it's not the end of art competitions on the Draw with Jazza channel. They'll just be less frequent and be more based on when I want to do them or when I can get some really cool prizes together. So it'll be more of a spectacle and more interesting and fun when they come about anyway. It may be 2 or 3 times a year, but that being said, it's also going to be hard for you to catch them when they're announced, since that they're going to be unexpected. So if you want to be informed every time a future competition comes, please go to this link. The link is also in the description, and it's jazzastudios.com/challenge-me. And it's just a form for you to fill in, just an email, and that is the email that you will be informed to for when a challenge is announced. And that's the only purpose of the email newsletter. There's not going to be any regular monthly newsletter or anything like that. You will be only emailed, if you sign up to that email thing, 1 email per competition that comes out in the future. So don't worry about being spammed or anything like that. If there are 2 or 3 competitions a year, you will only be emailed 2 or 3 times at the start of when that competition is announced, so that if you have always wanted to enter the monthly challenges and never got around to it, or if you're an avid challenge enterer and you enter every month and you'd be heartbroken at the loss of the challenge of the month, this is a chance to still be a part of what form these art competitions will take. So please go visit that link, subscribe to that newsletter. It obviously doesn't cost anything, it's just entering your email address and then you'll be updated in the future. That being said, it's time to go into some of the reasons I've made this change, and there are quite a lot of them. But the first and biggest reason is that in its current state, or its recent state, I've just not enjoyed it, doing it. There's parts of it that I love, but there's so much of it that just drags me down and drains my emotions and creative want to make something special, and just in the long term, it's not great. It's not great that most of the experience from my side of the whole thing for the last while has been pretty overwhelmingly negative, and I'll get into some of that later in this video. But that's the main reason. It can't keep continuing the way it has been, and the reason I've pushed through and kept doing it for months, even up to like a year, with it feeling pretty negative, is because of how much I want this to be something that I can provide for you guys. I just have come to a realization that I can't do it in the same way that I always have. This isn't a new thing. This has happened before. The challenge of the month previously were weekly art showcases. I used to showcase people's art every week as well as do challenge of the month. And beyond that, I also used to manually handwrite a review for every entry, right? So obviously as the channel grew, that wasn't sustainable. The challenge of the month has gone on as it has been for a number of years now, and has been the way things have been done, but that can no longer be the way it is either. We now have 2.6 million subscribers on Draw with Jazza. There are thousands of entries every month, and with that, not only comes the growth of the challenge and the difficulty of curating, judging and all that, but also the growth of my workload outside of the challenge, which means they both sort of really negatively feed into each other. It means it becomes this thing that looms over my head that I sort of dread announcing, then I dread judging, and then I dread announcing my judgments and you know, feel guilty at every step of the process. And it's just not a healthy dynamic to continue being a constant part of this whole cycle. Beyond that, the bigger it grows, the more disappointing I feel the challenge has become for contestants. This has been a difficult challenge to address, and I've tried to address it in a number of different ways. For example, always having showcase galleries for people to be a part of. Previously that was in a video, now it's in an online gallery. So when there are more and more entries, there are less ways for me to make everyone feel gratified for their hard work. And I know people spend many hours creating really hard worked on pieces, and most of the time they don't get in any sort of a video, and that can be really upsetting for a lot of people, and it's really upsetting for me knowing I have to constantly cut people out of that. And I feel like I want to give back, but I am not able to do that in the way that some people would want, and that's disappointing for a lot of people. And then beyond that, there's prizes as well. There's limited prizes I can give out, and the more the disappointment factor is on this weird seesaw where the more I'm able to bring into the prize pool from sponsors and just to make it more exciting for people to contribute, the more people are focused on the prizes and become frustrated when they don't win the prizes. And the less their chances are that they can win the prizes because there are so many people entering the challenges. So it's just, I feel like it's been constantly growing, and I feel this sense of negativity growing with it. That's not conducive to the kind of environment or feeling I'd like for such community activities to feel like. Okay, so moving on, just looking at my list of reasons, which, by the way, I opened up Notepad last month when I was editing a whole bunch of Challenge of the Month stuff, feeling really crappy. And I was like, why am I feeling so crap? So I just took notes of all the stuff that was coming to my head as I was editing and going through this stuff. And I was like, oh, I feel like this about it. I feel like this about it. So I'm literally reading all my notes that I took while I was feeling really crap about it to sort of explain why this is the choice. One of them has to do with the attitude change that comes to with large prizes and large groups that I've sort of touched on. In particular, this is most palpable with the animation challenges, which I've always tried to make bigger and bombastic, more bombastic than I possibly, than ever before. Every animation challenge has had thousands and thousands of dollars worth of prizes in it, and yet the negativity in it is just beyond my comprehension. There is a vlog on this channel for the day after every time the animation challenge is announced, with me venting my emotional frustration dealing with the negativity. It's just the weirdest thing. Like, the more awesome stuff that's part of the prize pool, the more negative people are about the very rigid rules I establish, because at the end of the day, if I'm judging thousands of animation entries, I'm going to limit them to a few seconds each. And then people get annoyed that they only can enter a few seconds worth of animation, as if that's not going to take me days to look at and judge thousands of entries anyway, because people are very focused on what they want to make and feeling cut out of doing what they want to do and potentially winning what they want to win. So it becomes like a lot of people, the vocal minority of a lot of people, complaining, and it just really kills the buzz a bit, especially when you work so hard to make something so exciting. Moving on from that stuff, it's uncompelling video content. So Draw with Jazza is primarily a video. It is a video channel. It's like I'm putting up art and animation videos and challenges and entertainment. And the Challenge of the Month announcement and the winners showcase is uncompelling, except to the niche part of my niche audience that loves that specific thing. So as the audience grows, more and more people don't understand it or aren't invested in the monthly challenges. Therefore, it's just this thing that a lot of people aren't particularly interested in, but a vocal minority of people are. When I say it's uncompelling video content, the reality is there's not much within any of the Challenge of the Month videos that is really watchable, except for chunks of it. For example, the chunks of the showcase and showing the winners and all that stuff. I feel like because many of the prizes are the same from month to month, or many of the rules are the same from announcement to announcement, people just skip that stuff, and a large majority of the videos are repetitious and skipped. Which brings me to my next point, that the videos of the monthly challenges are algorithmically unfavorable. We YouTubers are slaves to the mystical algorithm. And if we produce content that is not performing well when it comes to the algorithm, it actually disenfranchises the entire channel. So I've found that every month, let's say the graph of a channel is ticking along like this. Every month, at the same point of every month, my stats go boom, boom. They bounce straight down and crawl their way back up. And that's all in line with the Challenge of the Month, because only the people that know to expect it or want to enter it are clicking on those videos, which is a very small portion of the audience. And it, you know, I think that sort of explains itself. It's a small audience, and because I'm regularly releasing something that's underperforming, it means that it's making my channel get cut out of growth that could happen and bring more people into the art community than would otherwise have happened, which is really unfortunate. That's not anything I can blame anyone on, except for the fact that this algorithm is view hungry, and therefore if I'm to create a sustainable channel that isn't going to, you know, die quicker than I'd like it to, I have to keep that sort of stuff in mind, and it's just worth mentioning. The other thing is that it's too much video real estate for my liking, especially as I'm focusing on high quality content and really trying to create new and interesting stuff that's unexpected and enjoyable. To have 2 videos a month come out that aren't any of those things in particular, that are predictable, not great production value because it's always the same format, very, very repetitive. You know, it's not exciting content, and then it's also just, as far as like, let's say I'm doing 2 to 3 videos a week, that's a total of, I'm gonna be trying to do maths here, 8 to 12 videos, 2 of which are just like not taking things to the next level, not offering anything new and exciting unless people are already committed to and excited to be a part of that. So the other thing that is a factor for me are the time constraints and emotional pressure that come with doing the challenges. The time constraints have become more extreme, and the emotional pressure has become more extreme just because it becomes this thing that's looming over my head, and the emotional response of the community has adapted over time to be less than, you know, constantly positive, which I'm a bit selfish in that way, but I like to try and only add things to the community that are going to continue to build on that positivity. And I feel like it's turned into this thing where it's not building positivity in the long term. The final thing I want to mention, and I feel like I should have covered this earlier because by now there will have been plenty of people who have already written in the comments, maybe you should get someone else to judge it, or maybe you should get someone else to edit it, or anything like that. But the final point I want to make is that there is actually no reasonable way for me to delegate the responsibilities of the challenge of the month. First and foremost, because the appeal for most people entering is, I believe, entering into my competition where they know I see and judge the entries and choose the winners and all that stuff. Like if I had a panel of different judges or just someone else judging it entirely, I feel like it would be like having a different host on Draw with Jazza. It doesn't make sense. Like it's the Draw with Jazza competition. People feel like they're drawing with me, with the theme that I announce, and then I sort of showcase and do the winners and all that stuff. So there's no way to delegate the judging or the presentation part of it, but there's also no way to delegate the editing of it. Even as I've got 2 editors I'm working with now moving forwards, the challenge of the month is that thing where there are 2 videos a month that I have to edit because of the time constraints, because it's month after month by a specific time. There's a deadline at this point. I know I have a week before that video has to come out, but I also have to leave some dead time between the deadline and my judging for the final entries to come in, and then for me to collect the entries and then to judge them and then make that video. By the time I've recorded the video, it's the start of the next month. I have to edit that, get it out there, and then record the theme of the next month, get that out there. And by the time, like, I feel like it's like 2 full weeks of this intense lineup to make it actually come out seamlessly before I can let it go, at which point I'm already stressing about the deadline of the next challenge. But like it feels pretty unending. And just suffice it to say, after all of my reasonings that I've shared with you, it's just not ideal anymore. It's not exciting. It's not new or fun or offering anything of value long-term or particularly constructive. I know many of you will be disappointed, will disagree with me, suggest options to change, but this is just the way things are. There were people who disagreed with the way I transitioned into the recent form of the challenge of the month in the past, and that's become something that a lot of people loved and a lot more people joined in on. So hopefully this will be also another transition into a more exciting future for community events, where there may be only 2 or 3 competitions a year. However, hopefully I'll be able to produce way more exciting videos announcing and showcasing them, and bring in prizes, and hopefully even more prize pools, or just ways to be more inclusive, and to really help everyone feel like they have a chance, they can enjoy it, they are part of something that's really fun and just a great part of the community moving forward. I guess that's sort of the foundational thing. At the moment, it doesn't feel like a great part of the community, at least looking to the future, so I'm changing it now. That's pretty much everything. So, I mean, I would update you on my vlog activities today, but really it's just been judging the challenge of the month. So, you know, I've just been busy going through all those entries, and I'll be making the video and announcing the winners to the final official challenge of the month in this form, and in that video announcing this transition briefly, and leading to this video with all of these reasons. So I hope you understand, and with that said, I'll remind you again of that link in the description, where if you want to not miss out in the future, or if you want to work to a place where you feel like you might enter in the future at some point, if you haven't been brave enough, or you've wanted to, whatever, like progress to a certain point, just subscribe to that newsletter. And it just means that you'll never miss out of the opportunity to enter any of the exciting future challenges when they come about. But for now, I think I need a bit of a break from the challenges of the month. And then hopefully later in the year, we'll come back and we'll figure out some way to reconfigure how fun it can be for people. This has been a very long video of me talking about this. I apologize for how long it's been. Most people have probably tuned out by now. Speaking of uncompelling video content, this is that. Anyways, that sort of brings me to the end of this video, so I'm going to wrap up with a couple of quick questions of the day. One comes from Shadow John, who says, do you consider yourself an artist or a professional YouTuber? Honestly, I consider myself both. I can't isolate them, because I wouldn't be a YouTuber without art. I know I sort of do on this vlog channel, but it's all about my creating stuff. I have to make stuff. But on the flip side, I am a performer, so when I make art, I want to share it with people, and YouTube is how I do that. But I would say first and foremost, I consider myself an artist or someone creative. Second, I'll take from L Lamb Lamb, who says, when are you going to stop torturing us with secrets? How soon can you tell us something about Project Baked Bean and Project Hot Potato? Those are the code words I have for 2 project things that I haven't told anyone about. I can and will announce and reveal what one of them is next weekend. I was actually going to do it this last weekend that just came by, but it would have meant releasing the video on April 1st, and then it just wouldn't have been taken seriously. So I actually have just held off, and I'll probably announce it to you guys next weekend. But I'll announce specifically, I'm going to announce Project Baked Bean. So you guys can leave your guesses as to what it is. Hot Potato is still tucked away. That's going to ebb away for quite some time. It might be a very long time before you hear about that one, but that's also a very big one. But Baked Bean is huge. So stay tuned. Anyways, thanks for watching, and yeah, sorry about the slight bummer of a vlog for you guys, especially those of you who love the challenge of the month, but I do genuinely feel like it's the best way to move forward, much as going from 3 to 2 videos a week has been a huge positive thing to my mental health, and to feeling like I can really take the content and the channel to the next stage. So thank you for your understanding, and I look forward to the future with you guys. I'll see you later.